Hello and welcome to the Savage Stream, the weekly live stream where we talk all things Star Trek. And today we are going to be talking about Star Trek Trivia Part 2. So we have done this before. If you want another trivia video, definitely search on the channel. But for now, let me tell you about the book we're going to be using and the rules we're going to be using as well. So all the questions are going to come from this book right here, which you can get on Amazon. There's a link in the description below. And I'm going to ask 10 questions from each show from the original series all the way up to Enterprise. And here are the rules. If you know the answer, before I give you any options, they're all multiple choice, but if you know the answer, then you're going to put a 2 in the chat. You're going to put 2 in the comments. If, however, you're not sure until I read all 4 options, and then you're like, okay, I got it, you're going to put a 1 in the chat. If you don't know even after that point, you're going to put a 0 in the chat. At the end of the game, you can add up all your points, and I will have a full score page here where you can add up your points and kind of see where you land. But if you don't care about points, like I don't care about points, this can just be a fun thing, and we can just see what we remember about these different shows. I want to say hello and welcome to everyone who is watching live, and hello to everyone who is watching on the replay. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Oof. This book is huge. So when I did this before, I asked questions 1 through 10-ish. So this time I'm going to ask questions 11 through 20-ish. Sometimes the questions suck, and if that's the case, I might pick a different question. All right, so let's start with the first question on the list, which the first 10 are going to come from the original series. So question 11, we asked this question already. Hold on. Question 12. What is the name of the first Federation ship commanded by Baylock? What is the name of the first Federation ship commanded by Baylock? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. Now I'm going to give you some options. The options are A, Thasian, B, Corbomite, C, Miri, or D, Fesarius. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. Grace, you already knew the answer to this question. I did not know the answer to this question. And the answer is, hold on, let me look at the answer. The answer is D, Fesarius. So if you did not get that, you have a 0. You don't have to put a 0 in the chat. You can just, keep it in your heart. By the way, if you're watching in real time, happy holidays. We have a lot of holidays around this season, but if you're watching in the future, hi, future people. Hope everything's going good. All right, next question. What was the name of the 7-foot-tall android servant of the old ones on the planet XO3? What was the name of the 7-foot-tall android servant of the old ones on the planet XO3? So, if you already know it, drop a 2. If you need some options, and then you know it after I say the options, you can drop a 1. The options are A, Rayburn, B, Rook, C, Corby, or D, Andrea. Or Andrea. I don't actually remember how you say that name from the episode. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1. And the answer is B, Rook, which I think is how you say that. I don't remember that. I think this is from What Little Girls Are Made Of, right? The episode where, I was going to say Majel Barrett, the episode where Nurse Chapel goes to find her long lost beloved, whatever his name is, Corby. And this is the guy who Kirk tried to fight off with a giant penis, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't remember that guy had a name. Okay, question 14. I don't even know what this is talking about, so I don't think I've seen this episode yet. But it says, how is the PSI 2000 virus spread? That is the question. How was the PSI 2000 virus spread? And I'm assuming it's PSI. I'm assuming that's how you say that. So if you know what this is, drop a 2. I'm going to give you the options now. And if you know then, drop a 1. I'm seeing lots of 2s and lots of 1s. I love the total guess that you actually got right. So congrats. I'll know it when I hear it. I love that. Okay. The options are A, through telepathy, B, through the air, C, through contact with water, and D, through the transporters. I don't know what this episode is. The answer is C, through contact with water. Unless, is this the Naked Now virus? Was that the name of it? Did it have a name? That wasn't contact with water, though. That was contact with blood and then later on contact with skin, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, okay, I'm not seeing anything, so maybe there's a delay. 15. What do the children of Miri's planet call adults? So if you know this answer off the top of your head, go ahead and put a 2. And then I'll give the options. By the way, that episode was just not my favorite. It was very weird on a lot of levels, but I think the part that I liked the least was how Miri was in love with Kirk and how Kirk was okay with that. Ugh. The options are A, Foolies, B, Herberts, C, Grups, D, Onlys. So if you know the answer now, drop a 1 in the chat. Okay, so everybody got a 2 so far on this one. Yeah, Dustin says, I'm not a fan of Miri at all. Yeah, that was a weird one. And the answer is C, Grups. So if you now know, you can drop a 1 in the chat. If you had no idea what I was talking about, drop a 0. And also maybe give that episode a skip. Question 16. What device did the Tantalus 5 penal colony use to treat the criminally insane? What device did the Tantalus 5 penal colony use to treat the criminally insane? I remember this episode. I don't at all remember the name of the thing they used. I remember what it looked like, and I remember seeing people's just pained expressions while they were using said device. Okay, 0 for PSI and 2 for Miri. Got it. Okay, the options are A, alpha wave inducer, B, neural neutralizer, C, cortical stimulator, or D, neural calipers. And the answer is B, a neural neutralizer. That sort of sounded familiar, but also alpha wave inducer sort of sounded familiar. Is that a thing? Is that in an episode? It sounds familiar. Cortical stimulator, obviously that's like the little thing they stick on people's heads, so that's not that. And neural calipers, I don't know if that's a thing they use. Like, I don't know if I've heard that before in an episode, but probably. Okay, question 17. What instrument does Spock play? Hello, welcome. What instrument does Spock play? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. And now I'm going to read the options. A, harpsichord. B, Vulcan lyre. C, lirpa. Or D, sitar. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. The answer is B, a Vulcan lyre. I probably would have said a harpsichord. I don't know what a harpsichord is, though. But that's what I probably would have said, because it was like a... Was it like a harp or was it like a guitar? I'm trying to remember what that thing was that he actually played. I don't know. The alpha wave inducer is a thing. What is the alpha wave inducer? What is that? It sounds familiar, and I can't place it. And is it from TOS specifically? Okay, question 18. If you got it, by the way, after I said the options, drop a 1. Question 18. What dangerous mental powers do the Telosians possess? What dangerous mental powers do the Telosians possess? Who are the Telosians? I'm trying to remember who these people are. Oh, are these the people from the cage? Or were they called the Telosians? Here are the options. A, pyrokinesis. B, telekinesis. C, illusion. D, teleportation. Someone else in TOS plays a harpsichord. I'm gonna have to Google that. I'm gonna have to Google, like, what is a harpsichord? Because now I'm curious. I thought that was the thing that, yeah, now I'm curious. And the answer is C, illusion. So I think the Telosians, or Telosians, I don't know, are those the people from the cage? Because that's who I'm picturing. 19. Actor Mark Leonard portrayed the first Romulan commander encountered by the Enterprise and later played which famous Vulcan? Ooh, I know that one. Yes, I was right. Okay, actor Mark Leonard portrayed the first Romulan commander encountered by the Enterprise and later played which famous Vulcan? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are A, Surak, B, Stone, C, Sarek, or D, Cybok? That's a tricky one because I don't recognize Stone, but I think all the others are actual characters from the show. Stone might be as well. I just don't remember it. And the answer is C. Sarek, which is what I thought immediately when I saw that episode, which I don't remember the name of the episode, but the episode with the Romulans. I was like, wait, isn't that the guy who plays Sarek? How is it Sarek and also Romulan? So then I looked up on IMDb or something like that, or what's the Wikipedia for nerd stuff? Is it it's something Alpha, Memory Alpha. I went to Memory Alpha and I was like, oh my gosh, that is the same dude. I love that for him. All right, question. Yes, the Cage. They're on Talos. Okay, good. That's who I thought. But then I wasn't totally sure. All right, question number 20. What is Dr. McCoy's first name? What is Dr. McCoy's first name? So I looked in the back of the book where there's more questions about the personnel and stuff like that. And I was like, this might be time to change it up and ask some questions that are kind of different from actual episode questions. Those were so hard. Like I was like, I don't even think this is fair to ask these. I'm sure people know. Some of you here probably know the answers, but I just felt like it wasn't fun if these are such impossible questions. Okay, the answer to the question, here are the options. A, Lawrence, B, David, C, William, or D, Leonard. Stone was who Spock's girlfriend wanted to marry. Ooh, okay, so Spock's girlfriend wanted to marry someone other than Spock? I have not gotten that far in Enterprise then, in that case. And the answer is D, Leonard. Last question from the original series. An accidental overdose of what drug drove Dr. McCoy into a paranoid state? I haven't seen this episode. An accidental overdose of what drug drove Dr. McCoy into a paranoid state? Do you remember the name of this drug? Here are the options. Massiform D, Cordrazine, Silodin, Stokeline. You see Stone in Strange New Worlds too. When do we see him in Strange New Worlds? When do we see him in Strange New Worlds? I remember T'Pring or whatever her name is. I think that's her name, or maybe that's her mom's name. I don't know. I remember Spock's ex being in season 1 a lot, and that being a thing. And I remember Spock being like, ooh, but I'm sort of into Chapel. But I don't remember the ex being into somebody as well. So I might just have missed it. City on the Edge of Forever. Okay, I haven't seen that one yet. And the answer is 21. Cordrazine. which it looks like you all got. That's so impressive. Okay, that is it for the original series. So we're going to move on to The Next Generation. In season 1, you see Stone works with T'Pring. Oh, so it was like a cameo. Okay, so I would have missed it anyways because I wouldn't have even seen that Easter egg because I wouldn't have known what they were even talking about. So that makes sense. When does this drama happen with Spock's girlfriend, by the way? Because in Strange New Worlds, it's like the first thing we see and it's the most important thing and the whole show's about Spock. So when does that happen in TOS? Is this more like a season 3 situation, or does it happen in season 1? I just haven't seen it yet. All right, let's go to The Next Generation. Stone is in the TOS episode that also has the Lurpa you mentioned earlier. Hey, Nadia, good to see you. All right, we are doing Trek Trivia Part 2, and we just got to The Next Generation. So, question 11. Okay. Which original series character made a poignant surprise cameo in The Next Generation as the new ship readied for her maiden voyage? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chats. Here's the question. Which original series character made a poignant surprise cameo in The Next Generation as the new ship readied for her maiden voyage? Now I'm going to give the options. A, I lost it because I was reading the chat. A, Admiral James T. Kirk. B, Ambassador Spock. C, Admiral Leonard McCoy. D, Captain Montgomery Scott. Everybody got promotions. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chats. And the answer is... Oh, why did I look that up? I already knew this one. C, Admiral Leonard McCoy. It's like, I already know the answer to this. Why am I looking at the answer? The funny thing about that cameo is McCoy looked so old. And I think he was supposed to be super, super, super old by the time this ship launched. But man, when we see Montgomery Scott later on, when we see Scotty, he looks awesome. But of course he looks awesome because he was trapped inside the transporter for a long time. So that was kind of a nice way to use some technology for visual effect. Also, when we see Spock, of course, Spock looks awesome because he's a Vulcan and Vulcans take a really long time to age. So that was a nice touch. I'm also thinking about how in Academy, which at the time this recording has not yet come out, it's going to air in just a couple of weeks from now. But the Doctor, the EMH from Voyager, is going to be in Academy. And of course, the actor is older than he was 30 years ago when Voyager went off air. So, or when Voyager came on air. So I wonder how they're going to explain that. Like, I don't think they're going to CGI him to make him look super young. So I wonder if they're going to be like, oh, he got some program that allows him to age like like organics so he can experience the process, blah, blah, blah. I wonder if they're going to say, because they had to do something with Brent Spiner when he came back in Picard season 3 as Data, or even in Picard season 1 as Data, but that was different because they were just like, he's an hallucination. He lives in a flash drive. But when they brought Data back in season 3, they had to account for the fact that he didn't look like the same way he did 30 years ago, which he should as an android. And they were just like, oh, he changed his program because he wanted to experience humanity or something. So I wonder if they're going to do the same thing. There's a story. The Stone actor was approached by a person who thought he was Spock, so he was mean to make the fan think that Leonard Nimoy is bad. That is such a random story, Randall. Nadia says, y'all, I just got Nana Visitor's new book for Christmas. Open a channel, A Wonderful Trek. I am psyched, and the book is beautiful. Oh, that's so great. I didn't know she wrote a book. That's awesome. Okay, so Wingray says McCoy was like 120 years old in TNG, so they had to make him look pretty old. That's funny. Oh, correction, 137. So that makes sense why they made him look so old. Okay, next question. Question 12. What is the Ferengi word that most closely means captain? What is the Ferengi word that most closely means captain? If you already know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. Here are the options. A, Nagus. B, Tog. C, Proctor. D, Daemon. If you now know the answer, drop 1. And the answer is D, Daemon. So Nagus is a big term for Ferengi, so that's a good one to throw in there. I don't know what Tog is or Proctor. Those don't sound familiar, but Proctor sounds really, really funny. So I hope that's a real word that they used at some point in the show, because it makes me smile just hearing it. Yeah, Nadia, you have to let us know what the book's like after you finish. Okay, next question. Half Betazoid Deanna Troi was not fully telepathic, but she did possess which mental ability? Half Betazoid Deanna Troi was not fully telepathic, but she did possess which mental ability? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are A, clairvoyance, B, illusions, C, empathy, or D, telekinesis. I kind of wish she had telekinesis. Okay, if you now know the answer, drop a 1. And the answer is C, empathy. Is that can we consider that a mental ability? Hold on a second. Yeah, can we consider empathy a mental ability? Is that the word that you guys thought it was going to be, empathy? I guess, because she's always like, I can feel what they're feeling. So I guess she can feel, she has empathy in a different way, in a more visceral way than a regular person. Okay, I'll take that. All right, question 14. What was the name of Data's cat? What was the name of Data's cat? Dustin is the goddess of empathy. At least according to Barclay. That doesn't seem right that it's, oh yeah, because she's an empath. I kind of wish it was telekinesis though. Okay, here are your options for Data's cat's name. A, B4, B, Spot, C, Watson, or D, Spike. And the answer is B, Spot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We're going to keep it moving. I actually kind of want, hold on a second. I want to see real quick. Okay, yeah, I was right. It's like I want to see one of these other sections to see if the questions were as hard as I thought. And yeah, they are. Like, after Tuvok resigned from Starfleet, where did he teach? I don't know. Where was Tuvok born? What ship was Tom Paris first assigned to after he graduated? Like, what the F? So yeah, let me stick to the episodes, because at least then I'll have a chance. All right, the next question is, whose husband was killed while serving under Captain Picard on the USS Stargazer? Whose husband was killed while serving under Captain Picard on the USS Stargazer? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are Dr. Catherine Pulaski, Dr. Beverly Crusher, Lieutenant Deanna Troi, or Lieutenant Tasha Yar. If you now know, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is B, Dr. Beverly Crusher. What fictional detective does Data admire? Yeah, I'm just seeing like nothing but 2s. I feel like maybe these questions are too easy, but also I feel like the other questions are too hard. So I don't know. But before, I have played this game with other Trekkies and I've been like, oh, this question's too easy. This question's too easy. And I've asked them, people have been like, I have no idea what the answer is. And then I'm like, is it too easy? Is it too hard? And I've also done a lot of trivia where I just like put trivia questions up on my social media, and people will be like, this is too easy. This is too easy. So I'll keep putting harder and harder and harder and harder ones. And no matter how hard it is, there's always someone who's like, this is so easy. This was so easy. I could do this in my sleep. So it's really hard to tell. Okay, here are the options for the fictional detective that Data admires. A, Sherlock Holmes. B, Dixon Hill. C, Mickey Spillane. Or D, Hercule Poirot. So if you now know the answer, go ahead and drop a 1. And the answer is A, Sherlock Holmes. What day, month, and year, and also time of day, did Pike first eat a grilled cheese? Also too. Exactly. The questions seem like that, right? Or it's like, I don't know. It's like, what's the name of the hypo spray that Dr. Pulaski takes every morning to make her such a jerk? I'm just kidding. But like, it's like really detailed stuff where you're like, I feel like that's too hard. I feel like people shouldn't know the answers to these questions. I think one of them too, I read earlier, was like, it was the name of something. It was like that other question with McCoy where it's like, name the medicine, but it was the name of some drug where I was like, that wasn't even a big plot point. Why would somebody even remember that particular thing? So I don't know. It's really hard to tell. Nadia says, I love Ode to Spot. I ain't even gonna lie. Felis catus is your taxonomic nomenclature. So great. You might be one of the few who loves the Ode to Spot. Karen Haterade. Is that on the Ode to Spot? That's so funny. The Naked Now. This is question 17. Oh, hold on. Randy says space cats are picky since there are so many supplements, right? Question 17. The Naked Now is an homage to what Star Trek episode? See, I feel like some of these are too easy. The Naked Now is an homage to what Star Trek episode? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are This Side of Paradise, Wink of an Eye, Bread and Circuses, The Naked Time. And the answer is D, The Naked Time. And I guess the question is, are those other episodes real? Because what happens in Wink of an Eye? Is it the same as Blink of an Eye? Is that Voyager episode that I adore, is that a like copy paste of something from TOS? I would be very curious to find that out. Question 18. What was true about the first... Oh, I hate this question. Yeah, no, this is a dumb question. Next question. 19. What card game did the bridge crew often play? What card game did the bridge crew often play? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. And if you are playing this on the replay, you know, just like 2x it, and then you can totally still drop it in the comments, or you can just wait till the end when you get your final score and let me know, because I'm so curious to know what you got. It is not a copy and paste. It's a confusing name, but it's a very different episode. Okay, that's good, because I really like Blink of an Eye, and it kind of hurts my heart if, like, it disappointed me for a second to think that was not an original idea. Not that anything's really original, but you know what I mean? That it wasn't just like straight up, this is the exact same episode that was already done. Because that made me sad. So now I can stop being sad. The options are A, poker, B, bridge, C, Parisi Square, or D, war. And the answer is A, poker. I was laughing at war because what was that episode? Living Witness, I think. The episode where the doctor is like is turned back on after, I don't know, like 1,000 years or something like that in the rubble. And they're like doing the reenactments of what happened with Voyager back in the day. And it was like the warship Voyager. Just every time I see warship Voyager, it just makes me laugh. And when I see mirror Voyager, like in Prodigy and stuff, it's just hilarious. Okay, question 20. Where was Dr. Crusher during the second season? They mean like literally, where was her character at in the universe? Where was Dr. Crusher during second season? Oh, the Voyager episode is based on a novel called Dragon's Egg. Is it a good novel? It sounds like something I would read just from the title alone. It sounds like my kind of thing. Which, speaking of that, if you have Audible, if you don't, there's a link in the description below so you can get it. I highly recommend this book called Dragon Day. And, you know, it's not Trek related, obviously, but it happens kind of in modern times. And it's kind of like a what if scenario, like what if dragons became real? Like what if dragons just burst into the world today and they just burst into every major city? What would happen? And the entire book is done like a documentary, and the main character is like she's a journalist. And so it starts with like 320 days after the dragons showed up, like after D-Day, after Dragon Day. And then she just is going around interviewing all the survivors and like, where were they on D-Day and how did they survive? And then it kind of does, it's so good. It's so good. It does like this countdown as it's talking to people, and you see like how it kind of all unfolded when the dragons first arose, and then how they kind of tried to resolve the issue. Very good, very deep, very intense. It's only on Audible. It's done kind of like a radio drama, so there's a bunch of different voices. Highly recommend. Anywho, what was I talking about? Okay, where was Dr. Crusher during the second season? Unemployed. The options are on Caldos 4, at Starfleet Medical, on sabbatical, or on Risa. Oh, wouldn't that have been nice for her to just be chilling on Risa for a whole season? And the answer is B, at Starfleet Medical. And from what I recall, she was like the head of Starfleet Medical or something like that. I don't know if that's considered a promotion or like what do you call it when people like go sideways in the company? I'm not sure if that was supposed to be like a better thing or not, but then in season 3, she's just back. We have no explanation of why or what happened. So, but we're glad, because I like Beverly Crusher. When Grace says, 1980 hard sci-fi novel by physicist Robert L. Forward about intelligent life evolving on a neutron star where time moves millions of times faster for native creatures called the Chila than us. That lateral move, thank you. Sideways lateral move. Very nice. That's not even what I was thinking, and that's exactly what I meant to say. That sounds awesome, When Grace. There's another book. It's called Children of Time, and there's like 3 books in the series. It's a trilogy, but the first book is kind of like that. And I also really like this book, but I think the author's name is Adrian Tchaikovsky, I think, or something like that. I really like the book, but it is a bit slow. It is a bit heavy on the science. So it's more like a hard science fiction. And, you know, it's maybe not for everybody, but the idea of it's very, very cool. Question 21. In Star Trek The Next Generation, what division did a red tunic signify? And by tunic, they just mean the red outfits. In Starfleet The Next Generation, what division did a red tunic signify? So if you know, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are, you just bought that book? You just bought Children of Time? Or you just bought, well, you couldn't have bought Dragon Day because it's audio only. But yeah, Children of Time, I super enjoyed it, like a lot, because it's similar idea of this like fast evolution. While the fast evolution is happening on the planet, the humans in the spaceship are like being cryogenically frozen and then woken up periodically. So it's like the slow evolution, right? Like the humans are not changing because they're on this cold ship. So they just like kind of wake up for a little bit, go back to sleep, wake up, go back to sleep. So it's like they're not aging at all, but on this planet, it's evolving really, really fast. And it's like this comparison. And it's so good. And then the next few books take it to like the next level. The options are operations, science, command, or civilian. And the answer is C, command. Red means command. I don't know what it meant on the original series. I mean, I know red shirts were always kind of like disposable, but I seem to remember Kirk wore like gold and sometimes green, but didn't Spock wear blue? And didn't Scotty wear red? So I think they were just cool colors, like cool primary colors in TOS. And then they had like a job to do in TNG. I think I skipped one. So we'll do another one. What Klingon dish is best served alive? What Klingon dish is best served alive? Okay, gold is command in TOS. So was Spock not on the command track? Or was anybody else wearing gold? I don't know. I have to go pay more attention when I go back to watch it. Engineering and security were red. So what was blue? Was blue science? Science. The options are A, revenge, B, blood pie, C, gach, or D, a targ. So if you know after hearing the options, drop a 1. Spock was science, yes, but was blue science? Was everybody who wore blue science is the question. And also, why was Spock not command? If he wasn't he the first officer? I don't get it. That's just me in general, though. Because how is this first officer not also command? Or was he not the first officer? Was he the science officer? I don't know. Okay. The answer is C, gach. I kind of like that they said the dish best served alive, but I kind of wish they would have said the dish best served cold, because then revenge could have totally been the answer. Science and medical was blue. Hold on. Gold is command. Engineering and security are red. Science and medical was blue. And this is all in the original series. The science officer doubled as the first officer. Okay. All right. There we go. Got it. Okay. It's making more sense. Sort of. It's sort of making more sense. Because they changed that in TNG, right? Like the first officers, they changed that in TNG forward. That first officers are always also command, like in the command division. Right? Maybe they didn't do that in Enterprise, though. Okay. We are on Deep Space Nine. So we have 10 questions from DS9 that I will hopefully know, and then 10 questions from Enterprise, and then Voyager. 10 from Voyager, which I will probably know, and 10 from Enterprise, which I will never know until I watch that show. Question 11. What was Kira's rank upon assignment to Deep Space Nine? What was Kira's rank upon assignment to Deep Space Nine? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are A, colonel, B, major, C, ensign, or D, lieutenant. So if you now know, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is B, major Kira. Okay, let me set this down for a second. T'Pol was first officer in Enterprise, and she wasn't even in uniform or Starfleet at first. Because they were doing the whole thing with, hold on, let me try to move this book. Because they were doing the whole thing with partnering with the Vulcans and stuff. So it was kind of like a DS9 situation, right? Where Kira is not Starfleet, but she's the first officer. So she doesn't really have a uniform color because she's got a Bajoran uniform. Okay, anyways, I want to take a break from this. This is super fun. Love the questions and everything. And I wanted to chat with you guys and share something super exciting. Well, I wanted to share 2 things. First, have fun. So first, I want to say that I just very much appreciate you. So hopefully, Nadia, you could hear this before you leave. And anyone who's watching on the replay, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you joining in and just chatting about Trek. This is so much fun. Like, this is always the high point of my week. The second thing I want to share, which is super exciting news, is I am writing a book. It is not a Star Trek book, but it does happen in space. It's a murder mystery that happens in space on this space station that kind of circles this really toxic planet. It's going to be lots of fun. I am going to publish it next year. So at the time of this recording, next year is next week, which is 2026. So it'll be published in 2026. And I hope you will all read it and enjoy it. I cannot wait to write it. I cannot wait to read it. But I wanted to share it with you guys. And there will be more information upcoming as I, outline the book, write the book, get ready to sell the book. But I just want to let you know because you guys are my people. And you guys are the people I want to share this with. Also, I have so many ideas and so many plans for upcoming live streams. I'm super excited about them. What I do not necessarily have is the most time in the world to make them exactly how I want them, but I'm going to be working really hard this next week to try to set up our next couple of months of conversations in a way that's going to be really fun and give us a chance to just chat and dig deep into Trek lore and, ideology and stuff like that, because I love that stuff. So anyways, that's all I want to say. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So let's bring the book back. The Roe Butler did it. It's always the Roe Butler. All right, let's see. Where was I? Question 12. Who was the Dax host immediately prior to Jadzia? Who was the Dax host immediately prior to Jadzia? Yes, with the electric lasso, of course. With the pool noodles, the same ones that Ferengi used. Thank you so much. The options are Tobin, Curzon, Emily, or Ezri. Yes, murder mystery in space. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be a comedy. So it'll be a lighthearted, just silliness. Did you tell us the name of the book? I did not, because the book has no name yet. But it's going to be cool. I'm actually writing it's going to be a serialized book, which means there's going to be several episodes that are going to be released. And then when you put them together, it's going to be season 1. So I'm going to write a whole season of stories. It'll be a little bit more like a TV show in that way, but it's going to be books. So yeah, nothing has a name yet. The characters barely have names yet, but it's going to be great. And I will let you know as it comes up. So the answer is B, Curzon. All right, next question. How many hosts did the Dax symbiont have prior to Jadzia? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. If you don't know the answer, but you will after I give you the options, you're going to drop a 1 in the chat. So I'm going to ask the question again. How many hosts did the Dax symbiont have prior to Jadzia? This one I have no idea. So I'd probably put a 0 in the chat. In space, no one can hear you murder. Oh my gosh. Or can they? That's funny. I can just see that on the front of a book, and I just think that's so funny. Okay, here are the options. A, 7, B, 9, C, 10, D, 15. If you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. If you now know the answer. I do not know the answer to this. I know she said it so many times, but that's the kind of thing that just goes right in and out of my head. The answer is A, 7. Thought it was more. Thought she'd be more on the 15 side of things. All right, question 14. In what episode did the USS Enterprise crew member Lieutenant Worf join the crew of Deep Space Nine? In what episode did the USS Enterprise crew member Lieutenant Worf join the crew of Deep Space Nine? So you have to know the name of the episode. If you know the name, drop a 2 in the chat. Now I'm going to give you the options. A, The Visitor. B, The Way of the Warrior. C, Family Business. Or D, The Sword of Kahless. Oh, look, it's a heart. I love that. Thank you for the heart. If you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is B, The Way of the Warrior. I actually knew that one. Number 15. What fundamentalist movement targeting the Federation's decadence did Worf briefly assist in the episode Let He Who Is Without Sin? Wow, okay, that question, hold on, let me read that again. What fundamentalist movement targeting the Federation's decadence did Worf briefly assist in the episode Let He Who Is Without Sin? Wow, I remember this episode because it was on Risa, but I don't remember the name of this group. And I remember a lot of drama between Worf and Jadzia and just being like, maybe you guys aren't meant for each other. But actually they were, and it was fine. But I remember watching that episode and just being like, maybe this is not a good mix. The options are A, New Earthers, B, The Circle, C, Terra Prime, or D, New Essentialists. Yeah, it's the Rise of DS9 episode, but I don't remember the name of these people. Let's see. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1. And let's see. D. Oh, it's D, New Essentialists. I was going to say Terra Prime because that sounds very new Star Trek-y to me. Okay, hold on. Let me get this question. It's down at the bottom. Oh, this one's easy though. Okay. If you know the answer to this one, put a 2 in the chat after I read it. What did Bajoran religious leader Kai Opaka name Cisco? What did Bajoran religious leader Kai Opaka name Cisco? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. Also, drop a 3 in the chat if you can hear my cousin singing in the background, because she is singing really loud, and I want to know how good this microphone is picking up sound. The options are the emissary, Vedic, prophet, the orb maker. Bum, bum, bum. If you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because somebody just came in the house and I don't know who it is, but I can hear their voice very loud as well. Can you hear that voice as well? Okay, Wind Grace has a 3. You can hear the singing. Whew. All right, the answer is the emissary. A, the emissary. Although I think orb maker is a pretty dope name, but technically that's just the prophets. They were the only ones who made the orbs. All right, question 17. What nickname does the Ferengi bartender Quark call his mother? He doesn't call his mother a nickname. His brother calls her a nickname. That's not a good question. I'm gonna rephrase the question. What's his brother's name? What's Nog's dad's name? Quark. What is his name? I'm totally blanking on his name. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys are gonna put it in the chat. But that guy, I'm waiting for it to pop on the chat. Whatever his name is. Nog, Quark, Rom. Okay. What nickname does Rom call? And now it pops up. What nickname does Rom call his mother? What nickname does Rom call his mother? If you know the answer, drop it in the chat. Or don't drop it in the chat. If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are A, Mugi, B, Ishka, C, Nagus, or D, Grand Inquisitor. If you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is A, Mugi. Quark doesn't call her Mugi. Quark calls her, I don't know if he calls her Ishka or if he calls her mom, but her name is Ishka. He definitely does not call her Mugi, though. That's definitely a Rom thing. Okay, question 18. Who wrote the first rules of acquisition? Who wrote the first rules of acquisition? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are Brunt, Rom, Zek, or Gent. Maybe it's Gent? Gent? It's a G-I-N-T. So Gent, maybe? Okay, so if you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is D, Gent. Or Gent. However you pronounce this name. Okay, question 19. What position did Miles O'Brien accept at Deep Space Nine? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. What position did Miles O'Brien accept at Deep Space Nine? The options are Chief of Security, Chief Ambassador, Chief of Operations, Chief Liaison to Bajor. I like this question because you know he's Chief O'Brien, so one of these has to be right. That's a nice little trick question they threw in there. And the answer is C, Chief of Operations. I would not have gotten that right because I thought he was like Chief Engineer. So, Chief of Suffering. Yes, Windgrace, which was also not an option. But yeah, I would have totally gotten that wrong. I wouldn't have picked any of those. Number 20. What did Keiko O'Brien establish at the station? What did Keiko O'Brien establish at the station? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. Here are the options. A, an arboretum. B, a church. C, a spa. Or D, a school. If you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is D, a school. And I think that's it for DS9. I still am, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was, like, physically upset all over again at freaking Kai Wynn for causing Keiko's school to be bombed. Because Keiko I feel like she found her way when she made that school. I feel like it was just, like, what she was meant to do at DS9. She couldn't just be pent up in the house all day with Molly. Like, she needed to be doing something with her brain and with her body outside of her quarters. And I thought she would do something plant related because she's a botanist. But when she was like, I'm going to do a school, I was like, this is genius. It's just like right up her alley. And she loved it. And she got to learn and grow. And she had so many kids coming to the school. And then freaking Kai Wynn came and blew it all up. And then she's like, now what? And I just thought that was wrong on every level. Like, because that's how Kai Wynn rolls. But poor Keiko, she was like, I'm not going to start another school. Like, forget it. And I'm really glad that they, you know, she ended up going to take a job doing some botany stuff because I was just like, man, as soon as she found something to be excited about, like, it's gone, you know? OMG, imagine she started a Christian church across from the Bajoran temple. I think they'd be fine with that if she started something that was also religious. But if she started something really, like, secular, that's how Kai Wynn got her, you know? I'm really surprised it wasn't a spa, given the Berman era. Can you imagine that? If Keiko's like, I know what I'll do. I'll start a spa and I'll compete with Quark for, you know, what kind of activities happen in my spa. I'll compete with Risa. All right, moving on to, hold on, what the heck is this? Oh, this is Enterprise. Hold on. That's not right. Voyager. Something I learned from Kira, from Kira's actress, Nana Visitor, is that Keiko was offered a full-time role on DS9 and she said no to be a guest instead. That's interesting. I wonder why. I actually found Keiko extremely irritating in TNG, but I loved her in DS9, and especially all the episodes when it was like evil Keiko. I was like, oh snap. Like, I love those episodes. So I feel like she was on it just as much as a regular cast member. I don't see why I don't see any downside of having had more Keiko in DS9. Like, I was a fan. Yes, I kind of like was irritated by her in the first season when she was just like, Miles, you know, like, I hate it here. It sucks. And it was like, girl, you knew that when you came here. But then when she started kind of finding her way and having something to do with herself, I really liked her. So I wouldn't have minded having more Keiko. All right, question number 10. This is now Voyager. Sorry, question 11. What planet was Neelix born on? If you know, drop a 2 in the chat. What planet was Neelix born on? The options are Rhinax, Talax, Ocampa, or the Array World. And the answer is Talax, because he is a Talaxian. What is the Array World? Is that a real thing? I haven't heard that before. So it has to be a TOS thing or an Enterprise thing, because I do not remember hearing the Array World. I love to talk about giving birth to a baby and Worf has PS. Yes, that was so funny. Like, I had forgotten that Worf delivered Molly until they were talking about the new baby, and Worf was like, what, baby, where? And he was like freaking out. And I was like, oh yeah, Worf totally delivered the baby when the electricity monster had taken over O'Brien. Yeah, that's so funny. Worf of all people. All right, question 12. Who was Neelix in love with for several years? Who was Neelix in love with for several years? Drop a 2 if you know who that was. The options are Kes, Milana Torres, Captain Janeway, or 7 of 9. If you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is A, Kes. I'm guessing that they're just referring to the caretakers array and calling that the array world. Or maybe they're talking about Ocampa? Maybe? Oh no, Ocampa was an option. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. Himself. Karen, probably, but that wasn't an option. But you're probably right. I would agree with that. Option E, I would agree with that. Question 13. At the beginning of Caretaker, who was serving time in a Federation penal colony for being a member of the Maquis? At the beginning of Caretaker, who was serving time in a Federation penal colony for being a member of the Maquis? So if you know who that person was, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are Chakotay, Hogan, Tom Paris, or Seska. If you now know, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is C, Tom Paris. Who is Hogan? Is that a character in Voyager? That doesn't sound familiar. So maybe it's like a Voyager red shirt or something who didn't last very long past caretakers situations. Question. Nova Squadron leader. Hogan was the Nova Squadron leader for who? Was Nova Squadron, because you're not talking about the Nick Locarno one, right? Yeah, I don't know who Hogan is. Hogan's not the one. Is Hogan the one who died? Because he wasn't the squadron. Okay, I'm spiraling. Let me go to the next question. I get distracted. Question 14. Who was Janeway's commanding officer aboard the USS Al-Batani? I actually don't know the answer to this question. Who was Janeway's commanding officer aboard the USS Al-Batani? Hogan is like a background Voyager guy. I think he was the one killed by the sandworm. Was he? Wasn't it someone else killed by the sandworm? Because didn't they... Oh, gosh. The episode with the lizard people, with like the dinosaurs, didn't they find the guy who died from the worms? Wasn't that a thing? Yeah, Nick Locarno was Nova Squad leader, so yeah, I don't know who Hogan is. I'll have to Google that. The options are Tuvok's wife, Captain Sulu, Torres' father, or Paris' father. So I guess I would give myself a 1 on that one, because now I know reading the options. And the answer is D, Paris' father. Because she mentions it when she goes to get him from the penal colony. All right, next question. How far from home did the caretaker bring the USS Voyager? Like, how many light years? How far from home did the caretaker bring the USS Voyager? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are 20,000 light years, 70,000 light years, 100,000 light years, or 200,000 light years. If you now know, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is B, 70,000 light years, which they say a lot. 16. How long did it take USS Voyager? And you know what's funny, now that I'm thinking about it, if they were 70,000 light years, why would you ever go any less than warp 9.9? I know they were short on dilithium and stuff, but like impulse would just never be an option if it's 70,000 light years at at maximum warp. Question 16. How long did it take the USS Voyager to get home? How long did it take the USS Voyager to get home? If you know the answer, no worries. If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are 23 years, 7 years, 5 years, or it never got home. The answer is B, 7 years. Imagine if it never got home. Like, that would be such a bummer. That would be such a bummer. Like, if the show got canceled and they never actually got home, they never gave them that chance to get closure. You know, they didn't give them, I don't know how many episodes warning that you got back in the day before your show got canceled, but they at least had closure they definitely had closure for Voyager. So they didn't just cut it off at like some cliffhanger, like Best of Both Worlds Part 1, and then the show gets canceled and we never see the rest. But that would have been such a bummer. All right, question 17. What musical instrument does Ensign Kim play? Depending on which timeline. Ah, that's true. That's true. Well, since the end timeline was like, I don't want to say reset, I guess erased, although temporarily, how does that work? I think they just mean like the final timeline. What musical instrument does Ensign Kim play? The options are oboe, trombone, clarinet, or guitar. And the answer is C, clarinet. He plays more than one in Voyager. What else does he play in Voyager? What else does he play other than the clarinet? That's the only thing I remember seeing him play. Oh, does he play more than one clarinet? Or you're just saying he plays like a bunch of different instruments? Yeah, let me know what else. Okay, question 18. What race is B'Elanna Torres's mother? Okay, this one's like a bit detailed. Like if you're not super into Voyager, this I could see this being a hard one. What race is B'Elanna Torres's mother? Here are the options: Klingon, Kataran, Bolian, Bajoran. I guess from this option list, you would know, even if you've only seen Voyager a few times, but like, because she's half Klingon and half human, if human was on this list, then you'd have to be like, oh, which one was the human? Was it her mom or was it her dad? You know, that's kind of a tricky one. And the answer is A, Klingon. He randomly plays a saxophone in one episode. Really? What episode does he play a saxophone? Is it the episode Night, when they're like trapped in the void? Is it that one? And then he plays that song for Tuvok? Was he playing a saxophone in that one? Okay, question number 19. Which cast member left the show during season 4? Oh, okay, because it's about the actors, not the characters. Which cast member left the show during season 4? You could also say which character. The options are Garrett Wang or Harry Kim, Tem Russ or Tuvok, Ethan Phillips or Neelix, Jennifer Lean or Kes. And the answer is D, Kes. I don't like this question. So I'm going to read the next one. What race did the traitorous... traitorous. I'm going to say treacherous instead, because she's dangerous. What race did the treacherous Seska belong to? What race did the treacherous Seska belong to? In Nightingale. Oh, the episode where he was the captain. Okay. I don't, like, that's not one that I often do on the rewatch, so I just don't recall that. But that's interesting. That's a good one, too. Like, what's the second instrument he plays? That'd be a really deep cut. The options are Bajoran, human, Cardassian, or Kazon. Imagine if Seska was secretly Kazon. And the answer is C, Cardassian. So Seska, timeline wise, and this is a question for you whoever's watching, and now we're going to go to Enterprise. So Seska, timeline wise, she died before, this is a question, she died before the Dominion War started. So she never knew what happened to Cardassia, because this was long before they started getting reports through the array back from home. So she wasn't even a part of any of that, because she was long gone. But she died even before the Dominion War started, right? Because I know DS9, Voyager started like season 2 of DS9 or something like that. So this is a question for you. All right, on to Enterprise. I was so confused by her. On to Enterprise. Okay, these are our last 10 questions of the night. Question 11. Where was Hoshi Sato born? I think her last name's Sato, but maybe it's Sato. I don't know, since I haven't seen it. Where was Hoshi Sato born? If you already know, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are China, Japan, Hawaii, or Korea. drop a 1 if you now know the answer. And the answer is B, Japan. What translation matrix did Hoshi eventually develop? What translation matrix would Hoshi eventually develop? Sato. Oh, it was Sato. Okay, thank you. Because I wasn't sure which one it was, and I didn't have a chance to look it up before I got on here. The options are Universal Translation, Esperanto, Metaphoric, or Lingua Code. And the answer is, I'm looking at the answer. I'm looking it up. I think that it's Lingua Code. Let me just double check. Yes, the answer is D, Lingua Code. If Universal I would probably pick Universal Translator because it's the only thing that sounds familiar to me. But yeah, that's not what she did. All right, question 13. Why was Hoshi discharged from Starfleet early in her career? So if you know the answer to this one, drop a 2. The options are, she broke an officer's arm, family emergency, she failed too many courses, or a gambling problem. And the answer is A, she broke an officer's arm. I bet she had a good reason though. Now I'm so curious about her backstory. Question 14. The Suliban named Silic would become Archer's nemesis over the 3 years of the temporal Cold War. But the character was not named until which episode? It's seriously just a Hoshi quiz, but another one of them was just all about Worf or something like that. It was just 5 Worf questions in a row, so sometimes it's like that. The Suliban named Silic would become Archer's nemesis over the 3 years of the temporal Cold War, but the character was not named until which episode? Yeah, this would be a 0 for me. Okay, here are the options. Stormfront, Dead Stop, Cold Front, Shockwave. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1. And the answer is C, Cold Front. This is a hard one, right? Is it just me? I mean, granted, I haven't seen Enterprise, but to remember episodes' names other than the big ones like Inner Light, Yesterday's Enterprise, the iconic ones that people talk about all the time, if it's just some random episode, it's really hard to just be oh yeah, it was the episode blah, blah, blah in my mind. But maybe this was an iconic episode. I don't know. All right, number 15. How many wives did Phlox have? How many wives did Phlox have? The options are 2, 3, 4, or 5. And the answer is 3. Phlox had 3 wives. Good to know. All right, number 16. What unusual ability... Oh gosh, I cannot say this word. What unusual ability do denobulin faces have? Denobulin is just the hardest thing for me to say. What unusual ability do denobulin faces have? So if you know, you can drop a 2 in the chat. The options are, they can glow, they are transparent, they are poisonous to the touch, they can expand like blowfish. And the answer is D, they can expand like blowfish. Is the denobulin, is that what Phlox is? Is he a denobulin? And he has that crazy weird smile thing? Is that referring to that crazy smile thing, or is this a second thing? When it says expand like blowfish, do they mean their faces literally puff out like that? I'm in for an experience when I watch Enterprise, seriously. All right, question 17. We're down to the final countdown. 4 more questions. Question 17. Oh yes, their faces do puff out like a blowfish. Yeah, it's gonna be an experience. But first I have to finish TOS. Question 17. Who was the Starfleet admiral that Archer reported to? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. Who was the Starfleet admiral that Archer reported to? So we see the face puff out in a bar fight scene. Even funnier. Do they use it to fight, or do they use it like as airbag cushions for when they get hit in the face? The options are Michael Rostov, Erica Hernandez, Maxwell Forrest, and Bryce Schumar. So if you now know the answer, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. And the answer is C, Maxwell Forrest. You know, not knowing anything about anything, I knew for sure it was not going to be Erica Hernandez. I just knew for sure it was not going to be a woman. Whoever this person was that this admiral was that Archer reported to, I knew that. But I didn't know which other 3 it would be. All right, question 18. What was the slang term for people who spent most of their lives on spaceships? Ooh, I like that. They have a word for that. What was the slang term for people who spend most of their lives on spaceships? If you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are Star Trekkers, Space Boomers, Galaxy Jockeys, or Starshiners. Not gonna lie, this sounds like some things that ChatGPT would come up with if you're like, give me a name for people who hang out on starships. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1. And the answer is, hold on, 18. B, Space Boomers. That's interesting. Okay, Erica Hernandez is in the show and has a high rank. Good for her. Good for her. Like an Admiral Nechayev type deal. I love that. Was she in season 1? I guess I'll find out. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who. Question 19. What was the top speed of the NX class ships? What was the top speed of the NX class ships? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are warp 5, warp 7, warp 8, or warp 10. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. And the answer is A, warp 5. That's interesting. Question number 20. In the episode Broken Bow, on what planet was the away team captured by Suliban? In the episode Broken Bow, on what planet was the away team captured by Suliban? So if you know the answer, drop a 2 in the chat. The options are Denobula, Vulcan, Kronos, or Rigel 10. So if you now know the answer, drop a 1 in the chat. I do not know the answer, so I'm going to be looking it up. And it is D, Rigel 10. Yeah, that would have been a total guess. Oh, that's funny. The next question is, who composed the Grammy-winning theme song for the Enterprise? So this song won a Grammy. That is impressive. All right, that is it. Those are all the questions for tonight. That was 50 questions from this book, Obsessed with Star Trek, which has way more than 50 questions. There's a link to it in the description if you want to get your own, or you can just Google it. I got it from Amazon. So just so you know, for the score situation, let me find that. Here is the score. Here are the rankings. So if anyone's been keeping track of their points, or if you're watching on the replay and you were writing it down somewhere, you can add it up and then find yourself on this chart to see where you land. Doesn't super matter, but just for your own bragging rights, feel free to add it up and let me know in the chat what you got. That's it for today. Thank you so much to everyone who was able to make it live. Thank you so much to everybody who's watching on the replay, especially on today, which is a holiday, a very big major holiday. And I know a lot of people are at home or spending time with family or spending time just enjoying not working. Same thing's going to happen next week. Again, it's going to be a really big holiday and probably a lot of people won't be here, which is fine. I still plan to be here. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week, but I plan to talk about something. I still plan to be here because the high point of my week is hanging out with you. Okay. But it won a Grammy for being it won a Grammy for being in Patch Adams, not for being on Star Trek. That's hilarious. Patch Adams was good though. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy holiday. If you celebrate Christmas, which happens to be tomorrow at the time of this recording, Merry Christmas, or any other holidays that are going on right now. Enjoy them. If you don't celebrate anything, but you get to not be going to work, congratulations and enjoy that as well. All right, have a good night, everyone, and I will see you all next.